Success doesn't happen all at once. It really is built on these small decisions that you make every day. Welcome to the Property Mindset Podcast, where I'm Emma Howitt, mentor, investor, and your guide to building wealth, freedom, and personal transformation through property. Property isn't just about bricks and mortar. It really is about building a life that you truly desire. In this space, we don't just talk about strategy, we deep dive into mindset. And it is something that I found is often missing in every other industry, but it's been an absolute game changer in the professional property circles. So, what are we talking about today? It's all about taking small daily actions to hit your property goals. Now, sometimes it's like serendipity, isn't it? This has just been cropping up time and time again recently. So I thought I'd definitely jump on this and do a podcast. But the tiny, almost invisible moves that separate people who kind of talk endlessly about investing are the ones who are quietly building their portfolio. Now, most investors are waiting for that big moment, the perfect deal, the ideal market, that big pot of cash, that dream. But as Cassius Lane puts it in the power of small daily habits. Success doesn't happen all at once. It really is built on these small decisions that you make every day. So if you have ever said, I never seem to get around to it, or I'll really start when life calms down, or then this episode is definitely for you. So we're going to unpack some small actions repeated daily can really transform your property journey far, far more than kind of massive bursts of effort ever will. So as always, let's turn dreams into actions and actions into success. So let's have a think. Why is it that kind of small daily actions beats massive effort? So let's kind of deep dive. What do I actually mean by small daily actions? So I'm not talking about quitting your job or buying 3 properties in a month. I'm just talking about the quiet, repeatable behaviors that on their own really look unimpressive, but together build your entire portfolio. So in the book, The Power of Small Daily Habits by Cassius Lane writes, real change does not come from one big action. It comes from small actions repeated daily. Start small, stay consistent, transform your life. So pretty powerful stuff. And I really love that because it basically just strips away the drama. You don't need this dramatic kind of origin story to be a serious investor. You just need to be, I'm afraid, boringly consistent in your routine. So think about like your own journey so far. How many times, and come on, let's be fair, we've all done it. Have we made that big push, that one big push? We've gone on these intensive one-day courses, weekend training. We've binge watched YouTube for hours, listened to podcasts back to back and spent, late nights running numbers. And then drop back into perhaps not doing something for a few days, maybe even a few weeks. And the market doesn't reward occasional intensity, I'm afraid. It really rewards steady compound effort. So I'm going to attempt to say this correctly. Sanju Danthanarayana, I'm only going to say their first name from now on, in the book, The Life-Changing Power of Small Habits, puts it kind of this way. Small habits, when practiced consistently, can create lasting change in our lives. They are the building blocks of success, personal growth, and fulfillment. Pretty powerful, isn't it? I'm going to repeat it, in fact. So small habits, when practiced consistently, can create lasting change in our lives. They are the building blocks of success, personal growth, and fulfillment. So in property, those building blocks, it might be checking a street a day. It might be, of course, speaking to an agent, analyzing a deal, or reviewing your numbers on your portfolio. And of course, none of it is glamorous. None of it sounds glamorous, but when you're actually looking at building a house, neither does laying one brick at a time. But it's only once you've done multiple bricks that you suddenly see those results and you suddenly see that you've built this amazing wall. So instead of sort of asking what thing will change everything for me, start asking what small thing can I do today that my future investor self will thank me for. So the next thing I'm going to look at, and this is so key, I've personally found, looking at your kind of identity, your self-image, and how the power of micro habits are affected. So if we tie these together, because as always, if you see yourself as someone who never sticks to things, your daily actions are obviously just going to keep reflecting that story. We have spoken in, previous episodes deeply about your self-image, but you can never outperform it. Okay, we have to change through time. We never remain the same person. We have to change to upgrade our lives, and therefore we have to upgrade our self-image. So let's look at this from like a fresh angle with the power of micro habits. The author talks about transforming your life one step at a time, and then also building the life you envision one small habit at a time. Now, that line, the life you envision one small habit at a time, is exactly what we're doing here with property. So maybe right now your self-image sounds like, oh, I'm just so inconsistent, I'm all in or nothing, oh, I'm just keep dabbling. So every time you say that, and let's be fair, we hear this, don't we? Like my daughter at the moment is saying a lot of these kind of things, and you need to just keep picking yourself up. You need to keep recognizing that you're saying these things to yourself, because your brain takes it as an instruction. It becomes that kind of ceiling on what feels like normal for you. And the beauty of micro habits is that they give you a way to change that identity from the inside out. You can start seeing and believing, and you need to search for that. You need to search for proof, basically. So instead of trying to think your way into a new identity, you need to behave your way into it. You become the investor who always analyzes one deal a day. You become the investor who always messages one agent. You become the investor who always spends 10 minutes on their portfolio before bed. And I talk a lot to my mentees about this. It's also understanding what you can fit in. So don't start saying, I'm going to do 15 a day. Like, you just got to be realistic as well, because again, otherwise your subconscious will keep going, oh yeah, you couldn't do it. You said you would do this and you haven't done it. So always make sure that you set these tiny habits as something that you can do, because each tiny action is like a vote in favor of your story that I'm a serious, consistent investor. So the same book emphasizes using kind of effective methods for monitoring your habits and really celebrating your achievements, no matter how small. So that is why tracking habits really matters. And you may have heard of people talking about habit trackers. Because if you write it down, today I analyzed one deal and I sent one message. You're not just ticking a box, you're collecting proof, like we spoke about, proof that old story, oh, I never follow through, is actually no longer true. We need to keep finding that proof and feeding it to ourselves. And this will enable an identity shift. You're not trying to be the person who makes one huge move. You're becoming the person who takes small investor actions every single day. I mean, almost on autopilot. So how about the stories that kill consistency? And we've got to call these stories out because they quietly sabotage your daily habits. And these are things that, sound logical, but really keep you stuck. So let's go through some stories that we feed ourselves. I'm too busy. I've got work, I've got kids, I've got life admin, got social media. Let's be fair, it's all real. Like, I'm really busy. But Greg McKeown in Essentialism warns, if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. That's pretty powerful, isn't it? So when you say, I don't have time for one deal a day, what you're saying is, I'm letting everything else decide my future for me. And we can reframe this. I always have at least 10 to 15 minutes for my future portfolio. We definitely have. And we really notice that people prioritize what they really love. If you're ready to take your property journey to the next level, check out my Property Success Mindset Formula. It's a course on Udemy, and inside you'll discover actionable strategies and exercises designed to shift your thinking, boost your confidence, and help you navigate property challenges with clarity. Whether you're just starting out or looking to break through to a new level, this course delivers the mindset tools professional investors use every day. Visit the link in the show notes to unlock your property potential. Your biggest asset is not just your portfolio, but the way you think. I really prioritize food preparation. And I don't prioritize, cleaning. So you have to make sure that you understand where your priorities lie. And sometimes we have to change those priorities. But how might it look like in practice? It might be, analyzing a deal on your lunch break. It might be voice noting an agent while you're walking the dog. It might be reading, 3 pages of a book on a train. You're not magically creating those hours. You're just slightly shifting how you spend the ones that you already have. So how about story 2? It's such a small action, it won't make a difference. This is quite a sneaky one, I think. So you think, what's the point of one small email, one call? I just haven't got time. It won't matter. Following up on that person I met at the networking event, it just feels pointless. So you skip it. And the results are that nothing changes. And Sanju reminds us that these small habits, when practiced consistently, can create lasting change. And the keywords within that are practiced consistently. So a single repetition is definitely not going to change your life, but 1,000 will. And you only get 1,000 by doing one and then another and then another. Story 3, I'll do a massive push later. So, I think we all grew up with, last minute revision, last minute doing, a project at school or college or uni or whatever. And so we've kind of got into this, but it's really like the January mindset, isn't it? Next month, I'll smash it. After this big project, I'll go hard. But K.S. Lane's whole point in The Power of Small Daily Habits is that, this book is designed to help you move beyond those short bursts of motivation and actually develop habits that truly stick. So your portfolio doesn't need another short burst. It just needs a baseline, a simple minimum that happens even when you're tired, even when you're busy, and even when you're unmotivated. Because under all of these stories is a really simple truth. Success in property is actually rarely about intensity. It's about consistently. And as one discipline quote puts it, consistent discipline builds habits that transform aspirations into everyday successes. So your aspiration are 5 or 10-year vision, but your daily habits are how you drag that vision into reality, one small, slightly boring action at a time. So what practical tools can we do to build your property power habits? So let's look at 4 of them. So 1, the non-negotiable 10-minute rule. Okay. So just pick one 10-minute block in your day and call it your property power slot. And let's be fair, everyone has got 10 minutes. I'm sure you've been scrolling, watching telly, I don't know, dancing around the kitchen, but you've always got 10 minutes. We can find it. Okay. Now call it your power property slot. It might be, 7:30 to 7:40. It might be 9 to 9:10 after the kids are in bed. Now in that slot, you've got to do one of 3 things. Analyze one deal, and obviously you can select these, but analyze one deal, learn for 10 minutes through a podcast, a book, training, or message or speak to one property contact. And that's it. And as Casey Slane would say, you're focusing on small actions repeated daily. You're not trying to overhaul your life. You're just making sure that your future investor self gets those 10 minutes of focused attention every single day. Number 2, habit stacking. This is a great one. And it's kind of attaching whatever you do to something that attaching what you want to do to something that you already do. And from the micro habit side, one of the simplest ways is, to find something that you already do consistently and add it. So example, after my first coffee, I'll analyze one deal, or after I close my laptop at work, I'll send one property related message, or after dinner, I'll go and spend some time. And the power of micro habits talks about integrating these small actions into your routine, but without overwhelming yourself. So it doesn't feel too much like you're fighting every day. You're actually weaving it into your day. Tool 3, make your environment do half the work. Okay, so what does that mean? So remember that line about tools for tracking your habits and celebrating your achievements, no matter how small. So let's apply that. Put a simple tracker somewhere you can't ignore. Fridge, bedroom wall, mirror, front of your property notebook. And each day you complete your 10 minutes, tick it off. And then really make that a celebration. So make your environment kind of a cue for the right behaviour. So if your laptop opens straight onto social media, you're probably going to start scrolling. Set your browser homepage to your deal analyzer sheet. Pop your property book where you have your morning drink. So it's just tiny tweaks. That means you will need less willpower. So I always love the one that if you want to do some exercise in the morning, sleep in your exercise outfit because you're going to feel a bit silly taking that off in the morning. Your surroundings, are gently nudging you towards the next step. And tool 4 is, really reviewing weekly your small wins. So it might be Sunday evening, might be Friday afternoon. Really sit down and ask, what small actions did I take this week? What did they add up to? And what do I want to repeat or tweak next week? And using the language from Sanju's book, remind yourself that these small habits are the building blocks of success, personal growth, and fulfillment. So always write down your wins. Even if they feel tiny. I've analyzed X number of deals. I've spoken to this many agents. I've learned new things about finance. And this is how you kind of train your brain to see evidence that you are moving, even when you're not holding the keys yet. So over time, those 4 tools will do exactly what these books describe. They will help you move beyond the short bursts of motivation and develop habits that truly stick. They build the life you envisage, one small habit at a time. So actions for this week. Let's implement this. Your portfolio is not going to be built on just a plan. We need to do things. It's not when it calms down. It's not when I have time. We've just got to start building it now. So what can we do this week in the middle of real life? And the good news is, you don't have to do anything extreme. Choose your non-negotiable 10 minutes and decide when it is. And if you forget, do it when you remember. or, set an alarm, whatever it takes to remind yourself. And, write a simple identity sentence, something like, I am a consistent property investor who takes small action steps every day, and put it somewhere that you'll see it and read it out before your 10 minutes. And then, of course, track your week. Each day you show up, put a tick or a cross on your tracker. And at the end of the week, do a 10-minute small wins review and ask yourself, what did these tiny actions add up to? And you might surprise yourself. So remember that from the power of small daily habits, success doesn't happen all at once. It is built through small decisions that you make every day. And of course, from the book, The Life-Changing Power of Small Habits, says small habits, when practiced consistently, can create lasting change in our lives. So your job this week is not to change your life overnight. It's to start casting those daily votes for your future identity. So if this episode has helped you see small daily actions in a new light, go and listen to episode 41, How to Ignore Property Doom, Porn and Actually Invest. In this episode, I deep dive into tuning out those fear-mongering headlines, negative forecasts and market panic that keep people on the sideline, and show you simple mindset filters to spot real opportunities so that you can buy smart when everyone else is freezing. So if you know someone struggling on their property journey, constantly learning but never really moving, share this episode with them, because it might be that nudge that they need to swap occasional bursts for daily steady action. And remember, the more people we help, the greater our own wealth, and in every sense of the word. Growing this community means growing the potential we all have to succeed together. So remember, property success isn't just about what you do. It's about how you think and the state you're in when you make decisions. So when you combine smart strategy with a calm, focused, well-rested mind, there is no limit to what you can build over the long term. And always remember, your mindset is your greatest property. Keep building it.